Singapore's success hasn't touched everyone. The rising cost of living has meant that some families are struggling to make ends meet. I'm off to meet one of them now. Estimates suggest that 10 to 15% of the population live in the low-income bracket, earning under $1,100 a month, and there's no minimum wage. Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Siti Mariani has 4 children and sleeps on a mattress in the living room of her 1-bedroom rental flat, despite being heavily pregnant.
I'm concerned about the income of the family right now. So even despite being 8 months pregnant, I still have to continue working because my husband is a foreigner and he doesn't have long-term pass, which makes him unable to find a job easily.
All foreign residents seeking employment need the long-term pass, without which you can't work.
At times I would feel depressed, but when I look at the kids, I know that I have to keep strong and just keep moving on. The cost of living, obviously, the groceries, the food, traveling expenses. I approach social service for help, and they are helping me out to pay the rent, the monthly rent. In this area, normally we have people coming in, just like door knocking and say that, oh, we're giving out rations. So it could be packets of rice, noodles, maybe oil, bottle of oil, whatever that's available. I don't actually want to depend on the government. I'm more worried about the children. Maybe right now, if let's say the difference that I see when I was younger, when I was still in school, and now, what will they face in the future? But right now, it's like everything is money, everywhere is money.
Singapore turned to foreign investment in the 80s and 90s. Tax incentives meant that huge multinational corporations flocked to the country. Even today, around 40% of Singapore's residents are foreigners that call it home. Jim Rogers is a well-known investment guru. He and his wife Paige and daughter Happy uprooted from New York to move here in 2007. Their youngest daughter, Bea, was born in Singapore.
Wow, Happy, this is such a tidy room. Well done.
Yeah, she's a tidy child. No,
can you come and be my kid for a while?
There was like a curtain on top, and then it would be like that. It would be like a princess bed. Oh, well, we're learning Chinese and English. We're going to do a Chinese poem. It's called 静夜思. 1, 2, 3. 床前明月光，疑是地上霜。举头望明月，低头思故乡。
I cannot speak Mandarin, you can.
No.
Your mommy speaks a little Mandarin. Daddy speaks none. You know, they have this father who's embarrassing. The 19th century was the century of the UK. The 20th century was the century of the US. The 21st century is the century of China and of Asia. We tried all the Mandarin-speaking cities we could find, and Singapore for us is the best, and here we are.
Singapore's school system is excellent, and the girls were, or at the time, Happy, who is now 11, Happy was able to get into the local school, and it's a Chinese-centric school, very demanding. Everything you hear about the Singapore school system, it's true. We're living it.
And as far as doing business in Singapore, I mean, there's everything here. There's every conceivable business. petrochemicals, pharmaceuticals, investments, semiconductor. I mean, there's everything here, despite its small little size. Has enormous numbers of businesses that can attract people, and that can engage people.
Many Singaporeans are concerned that perhaps Singaporean identity is being diluted somewhat because of immigrants, because of people like yourself choosing to move here. What do you have to say to them?
Well, Paige and I both read the local press, and we know that there's a certain backlash against foreigners. You'll hear people talk about the foreigners, and I say, well, wait a minute, you're second generation. Your parents came here and said, yeah, but it was different. My parents were different from the new immigrants who are coming here now. Let's hope that Singapore realizes that it has had its success by attracting immigrants, and that has led to it being so successful. Let's hope that it continues to be successful and open.
But with the influx of Westerners comes a more liberated lifestyle. And it's not a new concern. Back in the 60s, tourists started to flock here.
Ever feel you'd like to fly away on a holiday to get away from it all? What about Singapore, for instance? It's a city of contrasts. On the one hand, there are the modern tourist hotels. And on the other, the bustle of Eastern trading and bargaining in Change Alley. This is a must for every tourist. A chance to haggle with Indian and Chinese traders and to pick up bargains of every kind. Singapore, the crossroads between East and West. A place of picturesque romance and charm.
Over the decades, the government felt that in order to keep conservative values intact, it must control the message and psyche of its people.
Every year, we have 6 million tourists, twice the population of Singapore, coming here, bringing all kinds of lifestyles and dress styles. I belong to a culture that believes that man would be likely to do all the things which satisfies his sensual desires, but at great expense to the good of society as a whole, and that must be prevented.
Campaigns in the 80s were a way to micromanage its people. The 1990s issued in a new era. On the 28th of November 1990, Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew, who had served ever since independence, stepped down.
I'm here at the Istana, the official residence of the President, and where heads of states and dignitaries come to when they visit Singapore. I'm here to meet a man who was born before Singapore's independence and played a big part in its development.
Goh Chok Tong took over as Singapore's second Prime Minister. During his time in office, he faced huge challenges, including the Asian financial crisis and the outbreak of SARS.
The best decision I took was not to walk in Mr. Lee's shoes. So I wanted my own pair of shoes. The first thing I thought I should do to be myself. And I thought at that time we needed to engage Singaporeans more. So I focused on a consultative style of